Hi, my name's Keith, and I'm known as the Florida Stone Man. And today I'm going to be talking to you all about spirituality and things you need to hear versus things that you're being told online that's not helping anyone. Now, it seems like I'm always the bad guy for telling people the truth, but I'm not a person who can sit on not telling someone that they need to hear. And it's very frequent because people come across other spiritual channels, other advice channels, wherever you find your information from on TikTok, and things are very sugar-coated. Things are very sweet. Spirituality is very sweet, and it is very beautiful, but you do have to get through things, and you have to get through them, not just sit in them. How do you get through things? By confronting them. We talked about shadow work yesterday, and I have a shadow work baby steps or beginners for shadow work. Maybe to try to make shadow work fun, because I told you guys it shouldn't be fun, and it actually shouldn't. But instead of it being completely miserable, I'll try to have a more less miserable version of shadow work. And a lot of people didn't like that I taught that, and the answer to that for some of those questions is too bad, because that's shadow work. It's literally shadow work. You can't really change spiritual law, so I'm going to keep the information the same. I follow spiritual law, and I follow what's right. What I do know is that spirituality is flat out sugar-coated. And I had people just kind of say, like, well, my shadow work's fun, I do whatever. And I say, well, you're just doing whatever then, because you're not really doing shadow work. It seems like you have a lot of shadow work to do. But I'll have baby steps on shadow work coming up soon. Shadow work shouldn't be fun, and I stick to that. I should use another example. If you're confronting enemies, bad energies, for example, if you're confronting a poltergeist, unless you're an expert at removing them, it shouldn't be fun. Even if you're an expert at shadow work, which I don't think there's anything that has to do with being an expert at shadow work, because if we say we're the best person at shadow work, or we're the most amazing shadow work person, then that's a shadow itself. So I might have expert level shadow work rituals, but they're absolutely miserable for me to do. And I taught them, and they're a little bit overwhelming for people. And I find that it's a thing that other people have sugar-coated spirituality so much to the point where now it's kind of expected to be just sugar-coated. Like, oh, it's not fun, sweet flowers. It can be. You have to get to the rough part first. I'll give you an example. There's people teaching about angels right now, and there's about tens and thousands of channels on angels, but almost none of them talk about God. What kind of angels are they talking about? What kind of energy are they talking about if God's the one who made angels, and they're the helpers of humanity, and they serve Him? And they're talking about going around angels. Oh, you don't have to talk to God, you don't need God for angels. Not for fallen angels, not for demons. And you better believe some fallen angels are very pretty and beautiful in appearance. When the Antichrist comes, and I say this now, when he comes, he won't be ugly. Let's just say that. He'll be very deceiving. Darkness knows how to deceive, and it has been for a very long time. You can't go around certain factors in spirituality without accepting it. You can't sugarcoat it. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 birds just flew over. Action number. So this video is more so about taking action. That's the thing. 5 is all about action and change. When you see 555, it always means change. So my message is to change you guys. If I'm not changing you guys, if I'm not pushing you to become your highest version of yourselves, you'll be staying the same. And think about it like this. Think about all the certain circumstances in your life that you'd like to change. Think about every one of your aspects, your desires, things you want to become, gifts you want to open, things you would like to succeed in. And imagine all of that staying the same. Well, that's a nightmare. That's almost like a purgatory. It's horrible. Now, imagine you and name 3 desires, 3 wishes. And people think of me as a genie because I help people's wishes come true, which it involves going through God. You can't go around God to have things fully fulfilled in a light-fulfilled manner. People try to do it through darkness and it just backfires. You can see what celebrities are doing. I'm not talking about that. Now, when it comes to spirituality, like I said, it shouldn't be sugar-coated, but that doesn't mean that sugarality, oh my, sugarality that's a really good word. That's what's being taught online. It's about, oh, this is love and light, and people are doing all this stuff that doesn't create any change, doesn't create any results. It really feels like people have just watched an episode of American Horror Story, and they think that's what spirituality is. I'm gonna walk around a little bit, guys, especially because if you see my videos, it goes from this color light in the sky to like pitch black in like 2 seconds. Now, and spirituality is not, I mean, what are the upsides to spirituality? You achieve everything you set out to achieve, you elevate on a soul level, you know how to take care of certain situations, you know how to do cleansings, healings, etc. You're able to help people, you know what you should and shouldn't do, you have this intuition about you, protections, protecting family, upgrading your life, dealing with problems you don't have to deal with. But what does it require? It requires you to get through some challenges to be able to upgrade. One of the biggest challenges in the entire world, and yes, this is the biggest thing, is coming in contact that we might not be right about what we believe sometimes. We might just be wrong. And that's one thing that's a common trend with people who work with angels. Sometimes the angels, and I work with angels, and sometimes my angels will just say, you're not right about this. And then I'll be like, okay, I guess I'm not right. It might take a few days to accept, but I'll be like, okay, I wasn't right about that. And then before I teach the information, I make sure the information's correct before I teach about it. How many people do you see online who won't admit? And you have to keep in mind, look at where these the spiritualists, people of light, look at what they're doing in life. Look at whatever teacher online, whatever teacher on TikTok, whatever teacher on YouTube, etc., wherever you're finding information, because people are teaching sugar-coated information, and when they come across my channel, it's spicy, but sometimes spicy is the one that undoes. I'm keeping my eye out for people at nighttime, guys, so I'll be looking around, because I don't know if you can tell, Florida just has random pop-up people. You've seen it in past videos where I'll be not looking around sometimes, and people will be like, hello, and I'm like, no, this is a Florida Stone Man video, so I'll be looking around. It's called keeping your eyes peeled. But people will sugarcoat spirituality, and people will not see results their entire lives. I taught about sage. This is another example. This is a really good example. When it comes to sage, I tell people to stop burning sage, because what you're doing, and you better watch that video, it's like a 30+ minute video. When you burn sage, you're opening portals for your guides to come in, but you're opening a whole bunch of other stuff too. That's an air element. Air and fire. You cleanse at the earth level, then yourself, your objects, your surroundings, your clothes. Then, and if you know what you're doing, you can use sage. Then, if you know your guides, especially by name, you know who they are, because sometimes if you don't know who your guides are, you probably have a few guides who want to be your guides, but they're not of light. That does happen very often. So some things will make things crazy. So some beings, may it be spirits or demonic entities, will make things in your house absolutely nuts after you burn sage, and people don't ever put the 2 and 2 together. That's the biggest problem. People don't put 2 and 2 together. That is a blocked intuition. When people can't figure out, hey, my ways are not working for me, or until people hit rock bottom. So until people are getting hexed and cursed the worst, and just fully being engulfed in just darkness, they're like, okay, this isn't working out for me. Maybe I should turn to God, maybe I should do good, maybe I should work with something else, because these chants alone will never protect you, ever. No affirmation, because you can't go around God. You cannot go around God. You have to talk to God at the end of the day. Or, at the end of the day, you will talk to God regardless, at the end of your life. That's something that spiritualists will fully sugarcoat. They'll be like, yeah, you don't need God for spirituality. Who put us here? Like, start with who put us here. And people don't want to hear it. I had about 7 or 8 people message me like, well, shadow work's supposed to be fun, and spirituality, it's just like, basically how they were messaging me, they were talking about it being a game. Like, it's supposed to be fun. When those people, the people who message me, are unelevated. Like, if I actually looked into some of their lives, and they were flat out stuck in certain situations because they were stubborn. Why don't people ever put two and two together? And I'm not saying, and this is towards certain people, not everyone watching my channel in the airplane flying over. Like I said, it does get dark in 2 seconds here, so wait another 2 minutes. But once you realize that whatever path you're on has to be changed in order to get to a certain point, is how you get there. So you'll make gradual changes. In spirituality, same thing applies. If someone's hexing and cursing you, that's why I say black tourmaline, people sometimes disagree, and usually those people are participating in certain things and don't want other people knowing about it. But you have hexes and curses being on you, and you're trying to live your daily life. You would like to succeed, you like to accomplish your goals, and hexes and curses keep hitting you. What you're doing is obviously not working. We are co-creators in our reality. Let's just got 3 seconds. I'll stand in front of the light. We are co-creators in our reality. We have to accept that we don't know 100% of everything. When people think they know everything, is how they fall very badly. So I've made videos about prophecies can be broken because God's God. If he doesn't want a prophecy to go one way, he'll break it. There's alternate timelines. There's alternate realities. Alternate, just so many. And people ask me, what's my future? And I say there's about a whole bunch of them. Now, what I say stays the same. Really look at, because you guys don't just watch my channel. I know that. I'm not going to say how I know that, but you guys watch other channels. You'll get your information from multiple sources. And I tell you guys, even with my videos, take my videos for a grain of salt and a grain of pepper. I say a grain of pepper because basically look at it in 2 different perspectives and from a third perspective, and just have multiple viewpoints, and don't accept every information you see online right away, because that's very dangerous. People who do that on my channel, I urge them not to, because you'll go to another channel, and if that point counters my point and it's not right, but that's the last information you heard before you accepted it into your subconscious, then you'll never learn that way, ever. Take what works and use it. How do you know what works? You try different information, or you go by your intuition, which your guides should be telling you, and you'll find out what works best for you. I'm gonna give you some more examples. So for other spiritual teachers, because there's flat out just evil, dark teachers teaching stuff like, oh, you don't need God to manifest, you don't need God to do anything. This is a really good example. The most dangerous thing I've ever heard is the spiritualists sugarcoat spirituality, sugarcoat talking to God, sugarcoat working with angels and talking to angels. They're working with demons, not angels. They tell you flat out, you can be your own God. Like, when you wake up with just you. You make your reality. The first time a human on this planet has ever heard, you could be your own God, or you could be your own gods, is when the apple was bitten. The fruit was bitten into. That's what the snake in the Garden of Eden said to Eve. You could be your own gods. There's no consequences to doing this and not listening to God. There's no consequences for not following him. And look what happened to Adam and Eve after that. Now we're here today. And it's super interesting, because that's the number one way spiritualists will get you away from God, and you won't see any light in life. You will see false lights. And false lights are sugar-coated. You'll see tons of false lights. And this really shocks and hurts people to hear, but it's what people need to hear. It's what no one else says. I have people who listen to what I have to say, run away from me, and come back to me months and months later saying, well, Stowman, you were right. Well, you wasted 6 months of your life and you didn't listen to me. Maybe that's how you learn, so the next time I tell you something, you can apply it to see if it works for you, and then you see actual changes in your life. Versus 6 months goes by, it's the worst 6 months of your life because you're trying to avoid God and trying to avoid going around certain bad thought patterns, beliefs, situations, etc. Do what works. And people, I don't get how people side with darkness either, because that's the losing team. St. Michael put down the devil before, and it's going to happen again. All right? It's a losing battle. The devil has to answer to God at the end of the day. Even people in the occult, or people who work with the devil, they have to go around people of God. If you're a person of God, those fingers can't be put on you like that. They could try to do this from a distance. It's like an angry child. And people have been sending me videos of other spiritualists. Oh, you don't need to work with God. You don't have to talk to God to work with angels. If you're working with demons, then yeah. But you'll age very quickly. Your finances will always be under attack. You'll live a very, very unhappy life, full of fighting, full of arguments. Everything will never, ever, ever work out for you when you work with demons as the wind picks up. It's to show you that God loves you and He's trying to move you closer to Him, because that's not real love. The only love the darkness can give you is comfort in knowing that the darkness is not alone. When you're shining bright and standing in the light, everything is moving you towards love and helping people. For people of light, people who I train, people to do right. I'm not Dr. Seuss over here, but the thing is, when I teach someone and I help someone and I pull them out of a sugar-coated situation and I work with someone to get them to be the highest version of themselves they can be, that person essentially becomes able to help other people. So, think about it like this. If you're following these spiritual people for about 10 years and your life is the exact same, like from 10 years ago, that's a problem, and you haven't elevated. And I've talked to several people who are like, well, I like everything to stay the same. Things don't stay the same. That's universal law. Nothing stays the same. As time goes by, so do lessons, so do planet changes. But if you haven't upgraded yourself and your roots haven't gotten deeper, when the storm hits, you're done. So, I hope you like my video on spirituality being sugar-coated, false lights, because I'm very happy